Good afternoon and welcome back to Well Driven. Today I'm doing a bit of a catch up because it's been a while since I posted a video. Not a huge amount, there's a few things going on. I'm back in the Cayenne at the moment. However, I'm on my way to swap it for something else for the weekend. So I'm currently driving around the wonderful Cambridgeshire countryside around Saffron Walden and that kind of area to drop this thing off and pick up something a little bit more summer friendly. It's my niece's prom on Friday, tomorrow, so I thought I'd treat her. Here we are, going to get something, but I'll reveal that shortly. For now though, time for a few kind of updates on how things are going with Well Driven, what's going on with the Porsche, the Cayenne, and what's coming up soon. So the Cayenne's doing well. It's due a service in the next couple of thousand miles. I think 1,500 miles it's due, which seems to be ticking over a lot quicker than I hoped, because it's probably going to be an expensive one, because they always are. Other than that though, it's been great. We've done a few drives into central London recently for some gigs, a lot of driving. It's basically been a van for the business for the last month or two, but it's now starting to get a bit more appreciation, a bit more love again. It could do with a ruddy good clean. And also the only kind of negative thing to post about the car at the moment is something these kinds are very susceptible to, and that is the rear boot struts have failed, which is a pain for two reasons. One, it's just a pain to hold the boot open as it hits you in the head, and it's quite a heavy piece of metal to boot on these things. It is a common fault in Cayennes, but I was told when I bought the car it had all been sorted, but it turns out that less than a year later it's failed. So either they bought some really cheap ones that have now run, they've knackered, or they never actually did it and just told me they did, which is one of those things. You live and learn, you buy privately, that's the dice you roll. The other more annoying thing about the boot struts on these is that, unlike just about every other car on the face of the earth where you just pop out a couple of little clips and then you pop them out and that's it, they're a 5-minute job to fix, doing it on this involves taking the roof lining out and all kinds of stuff, and basically it's like half a day's labour. Normally I would take this upon myself to do it. However, because it's going in for a service soon anyway, what I'm probably going to do is just ask the guy to get them all done there and then. So yes, it will be a more expensive service, but at least it's all sorted. That's the important bit. But no, other than that, it's been fantastic, to be honest. It's been lovely. The aircon is blowing cold. So today is, I think, the hottest day of the year so far. It's it comes to the end of June. It's currently 33 degrees outside. I am very thankful that the aircon in this car blows ice cold. I think this is only the second car I've bought in the last kind of 5-10 years where the aircon hasn't needed to be regassed after I bought it, so that's a nice little pleasant treat there. And also the aircon in my office is incredible, very much reaping the rewards of owning an office that is air conditioned for people that need somewhere to work in this hot weather. But yeah, so car wise we're all good. Still drinks fuel like nothing else I've ever owned, with such little power, but it's also still great fun to drive. So I drove to central London last week to a gig at Tottenham, and then drove back, and it was one of the most fun drives I've had in a very long time. It just handles like a car. It doesn't feel like a big boaty SUV when you're on the B roads. I loved my L322 and my P38 Range Rovers. They were just very, very different cars to drive, more like armchairs that kind of slowly wafted along. Whereas this thing just feels a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more, the steering's a bit more weighted, you get a bit more feel in the corners, especially on these beautiful back roads that I'm currently poodling along down in Cambridgeshire. It's all very, very good. So what else is going on in the world of Well Driven? Well, in the next week, followers on Instagram may have noticed that the consignment account, which we ran during COVID, where we did kind of a bespoke concierge service for sellers and buyers of classic cars, sports cars, supercars, high-end cars has had a bit of a rebrand. So we ran the business for a couple of years through COVID, and it was really good. It kept me busy when I was out of full-time employment due to the wonders of motorsport shutting down, and it all kind of petered off naturally after a couple of years when I went back to a corporate job that I got offered at the time that I couldn't turn down, and a few other things. But we've decided that maybe it's time to pick that up again. And with everything going on with my other business, with my co-working office space that I own, and the studio that I have there, and a few other things, my business partner Spencer, who's I'm going to meet now, and I decided that maybe it was the right time to see how things go. So we probably won't be advertising and selling on the scale that we were before, because I think at one point we had something like 35 cars advertised through our service, and it was fantastic, but it was very busy. What we'd like to do now is offer a bit more of a bespoke service, fewer cars, more attention, and more time with us to really make sure that the cars go to the right buyers and the right buyers find the right cars. So please do keep an eye out on that. Like I said, we're going through a bit of a rebrand at the moment, and all will be revealed in the next few weeks. And then finally, before I swap us over into the car that I'll be driving for the rest of the weekend, this weekend is Heveningham Concours at the Heveningham Country Fair in Suffolk, and it is by far my favourite car event of the year. I've been 6 or 7 times over the years, and it's just a really great little event with some absolutely incredible cars on show, given how tucked away the event seems to be over here in East Anglia. So I'll be doing a separate video on kind of my experience with the car I'm picking up now, which I will reveal in the next, hopefully, few minutes. But yeah, I'll be talking about my experience in that car as I drive over to it and spend the weekend with it, but also covering some of the amazing things that will be on show there. It's always just, the Hunts and their incredible cars they have, and all the collectors they get in touch with, it's just one to watch. So yeah, I'll be updating that very soon. But now I think that's all the kind of admin done, keeping you updated on where we are. So in a minute, I'm just going to show you what I am now going to be driving for the rest of the weekend. Hello and welcome back. As if by magic, not only has my outfit changed, my sunglasses, my t-shirt and everything else, but also so has the car. You now find me inside a 2002 Porsche 911 Carrera 4 Cabriolet. It's a 996. It's the all-wheel drive 3.4 litre flat 6 with about 320 brake horsepower and the all-important 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I've been lucky enough to borrow this car for the week while the owner is on holiday. I used it to take my niece to her prom. I know it's not as flashy as some of the cars you see there, but I think it's kind of cool to turn up these days in something that isn't a brand new Lambo or Aston or something like that. Instead, something a bit more of a kind of a classic. So yeah, here I am. First impressions are really good. Funnily enough, I've never driven a 996 before. I've driven 986 Boxster and 987 Boxsters and 981 Boxsters, and I've driven 997 Porsche 911s, 991s and 992s, everything from Carrera 2s up to Turbo S's, including a 700 brake horsepower highly modified 997 Turbo S a few years ago that we sold through Well Driven consignments. That was a lot of fun. But I say I've never driven 996, which is interesting because out of all the 911s, it's actually the one I've always wanted the most. I've always wanted, admittedly, a C4S and probably a coupe, but I have a soft spot for convertibles. I'm not going to try and pretend that I don't love them. I know people have opinions of soft top drivers. I don't care. I'm older, I'm fatter, I quite like a cabriolet. I think they're fun. I also think that cabriolets with soft tops, when the roof is on, just look really cool, especially if you go for the right colour combo. This one, for instance, is a silver 911 with a blue hood, and to me, that is the perfect spec 996 cab. And if I was to get a 996 coupe, it would also be silver, because I think Porsche silver is one of those lovely, it's like Mercedes-Benz silver. My brother had 2 silver Boxsters, a 987 Gen 1 Boxster and then a 987 Gen 2 Boxster S, both in silver, and then I had my W215 CL500 and my W221, I want to say, S-Class, again, both in that lovely metallic Mercedes silver. So I just got a bit of a soft spot for them. But anyway, the good things about the car, it is lovely to drive. It is so much easier, but also more engaging than I was expecting it to be. I know a lot of people, purists, would rather have the Carrera 2 in coupe form, not the heavier all-wheel drive Carrera 4, even heavier because it hasn't got a roof. But again, I just really like it. I think the engine makes a lovely sound. There's a distinctive flat 6 noise that you get, especially when you start it up from cold and let it just tick over before the revs drop down below 1,000 again and you kind of get on your way. It's just a really lovely sound. So yeah, it handles without, you know, that horrible expression that everyone's used for decades, but it's there for a reason. It literally handles like it's on rails. I haven't really had much of a chance to just drive the car and enjoy it in the last few days since I picked it up. I've mainly been driving to and from places. So say I picked the car up from just outside Saffron Walden last Thursday. Oh, just listen to it. It sounds, oh, I don't know if you can pick that up, but it is a lovely noise. Anyway, so sorry, I picked the car up from Saffron Walden on the Thursday and drove it about 60 miles back to my house. That drive, I'll admit, wasn't the best drive I've ever had in a car. It didn't necessarily let me warm to the thing straight away. First off, no aircon. Last Thursday was the hottest day on Earth ever in the history of mankind since the dinosaurs. It was about 4 million degrees. I stepped out of my refrigerator spec Cayenne with the coolest aircon I've experienced since my L322, those who know how good that is, into a car with non-functioning aircon. It's supposed to have aircon, but instead it just blows warm. But never mind, what can you do? The other thing was the seating and driving position when I first got in the car just didn't feel right. I'm used to the kind of 911 setup where your feet are slightly over into the center of the car, and I'm used to that, and I've got big feet. I'm a size 12 and they're quite wide, so it does make it tricky sometimes in these smaller cabin vehicles. But again, it's not the end of the world. But what really surprised me was the lack of kind of movement from the driver's seat and the steering wheel positioning. I expected the steering wheel to have a lot more kind of customization, if you will, but it didn't seem to have that. So my drive back from Saffron Walden was probably one of the most uncomfortable drives I've had back in a car since I drove a Caterham for the first time, all the way from Crawley down the M25 and M11 back to my house in Cambridgeshire. So when I got back, I felt a little bit disheartened because, like I said, I've always wanted a 996. It's one of the only 911s I've never driven. It was one of those proper don't meet your hero times where I was a bit gutted. I was like, it can't be this uncomfortable. There must be something I've done wrong or not noticed or something. So of course, lo and behold, do a bit of homework, fiddle around with some levers around the seat, find the adjustment bit for the steering wheel, and it is so much more comfortable now. So much so that I've done about 230 miles in the car over the last 5 days, and they've been fantastic. Could it be a bit cooler outside? Yes, it could. But what am I doing? I'm driving with the roof off everywhere, this video exempt, because obviously you won't be able to hear me. But yeah, downside of a convertible is I have burnt the back of my neck quite badly, but nothing a bit of moisturiser and after sun can't fix. So that's one of the bad points about the aircon. The other thing is the 996 does suffer a bit inside. I like the quirky styling of the interior. I love the dials, the same as my Cayenne, same as the old 986. I really like that kind of font type and all that stuff. However, it does just feel old compared to other cars from a similar generation. You know, well, the L322 is a prime example. The interior of that is lovely and contemporary, and it looks as good now as it did back in 2002 when that came out, whereas this is at the end of its life cycle, and you can kind of tell things are a little bit creaky in the tighter turns, and it's a little bit squidgy and stuff like that. But I think it still looks like a nice place to be. You haven't got the sticky button problems that you have with Ferraris of this generation and things like that. You've just got, not the best looking interior. And I think the other problem was the 997 was such a step forward with regards to kind of that interior finish that it kind of left this one dead in the water with how it looks. So yeah, that's it really. Like I said, today's the first day I've really had to actually drive the car without having to be anywhere. I've got no destination. I finished work, the football's on, so everyone is currently glued to their televisions watching England win and or lose to someone in the World Cup, which means the roads are beautiful and quiet. I've basically got the whole of the Fenland countryside to myself right now, and I'm having a really, really great time doing it. Do I recommend a 996? That's the big question. Yeah, I think so. I know it's got a 996 turbo, and to me, that is still one of the ultimate poster cars of my generation. Sounds great. It's got that incredible Metzger engine and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that these cars now are due that kind of revival to it. I know it's the first water-cooled, so obviously it's not as desirable, and those headlights are still a kind of area of contention and debate amongst people. Personally, as a kid who, born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, I think it looks fantastic. I think the C4S is one of the best looking sports cars to ever come out of the late 90s, early 2000s, and to me, that's the one I would have. This C4 cab is lovely, but I really like the back end of a C4S with the way that red strip goes right the way across the engine cover. But this is a lovely car. If you buy one, is it going to change your life? I guess the things to realise are, whatever you do, if you buy one of these, it is a 25-year-old car. So it's going to be very old tech. I know that Porsche and other companies now do CarPlay upgrades and things like that. I've got one of those in the Cayenne, and it is horrendous. I hate it. I want to take it out and go back to the original sound system, which is something I'm looking at doing at the moment. So things to bear in mind are those. It is a bit rattly compared to more modern cars. It just doesn't feel as tight, and it's kind of, engineered as a 997 and newer, but it still drives beautifully. It has such a lovely weight to the steering. The gear change is just perfect, and it's a really easy car to drive. It is very easy to drive fast, and it just holds the road like very few cars in this price bracket at this age and everything else. And I'm having a lovely time. I'm dailying it to the office and back every day. The weird thing is it's better on fuel than the Cayenne. I get about 19 miles to the gallon in the Cayenne. This is currently giving me 25. It's brilliant. The tank's the size of a thimble, so you are still filling it more regularly, but you're putting a smaller amount in, so it feels like better value. To me, that's the reason to buy one. And also, if you're a big poser like me who just thinks convertibles are a little bit cool, it looks great with the roof off. I'd say I love that wide rear end that it has. When you look in the mirror and you see those lovely arches, and then when the roof's off and that big bulging engine at the back, it just looks fabulous in my opinion. But yeah, this is my very short and sweet review of a Porsche 996 Carrera 4 convertible with a manual gearbox. It's a thumbs up from me. I'm an old-fashioned person who likes old-fashioned cars, so maybe that's why I've got a bit of a bias towards it. But even when I was driving it back on that first day and was a bit kind of put off by how uncomfortable it was and everything else, and even now, I am hot. It's 28 degrees outside and I've got no aircon, and I would have the roof off, but I'm talking to you. I am still sweaty. But even after all that, I just still love the car. I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful thing. And I'm really looking forward to 996s finally getting the appreciation and love that they've deserved since new. I still want one day. I'm not sure what I'd have. A part of me does think, well, would I actually wait and get a 997? Who knows? Who knows where I'm going to be work-wise, financially, everything else in the future, but it would be really nice to have one day. Other than that, thank you for watching. I'm sure there'll be some more updates on the Cayenne and other bits soon. I don't know when I'll be next making a video, but this is more just me waffling on very off the cuff because I haven't planned this at all. But yeah, thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for more things. There's more cars coming up for sale soon on Well Driven Consignments. There hopefully also more car events coming up as well, and maybe even some more actual car content, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye.